Hi everyone. So this is a tutorial about how to create a model of your stool in SketchUp, and in doing this my hope is that you'll find out how to use the basic functions of SketchUp to make some accurate models of some relatively simple things like stools and things like that. So we're going to be covering a lot of things. I suggest that you watch the video once through first of all, and then maybe then after that start following along, pause where you need to work things out, etc. So let's get started. So first of all, we want to be just going to start a new document here. We're in Google Chrome, obviously, so it's a web-based app, and hopefully you have already downloaded the or installed the app onto your Google Chrome. And this is what it will look like if you've got it. If you haven't done that yet, then please just follow the instructions in Google Classroom that I've put up there for you. There's also a short video about that. So here we go. So click on here, and in the meantime, while that's starting up, just want to check to see that I did this right. Yes. This is what we're going to be making today, right? And we won't probably put all the dimensions on. I'll show you how to do that, but we don't really need that for today. What we want to be able to do is make a digital version of our stool. I've got all these dimensions here for my reference, so we are going to make an accurate model. We're not going to put in all the biscuit joints and all of that sort of stuff because I think that's just going a little bit too far, but the stool hopefully will look the same as we do. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to add embellishments to it to make it your own, to make the stool your own. So, right, let's go and have a look. So we've opened up here now. When you open your SketchUp for schools, you will notice that there's no projects yet. So we're going to create a new one. So next to create new, just drop this down and choose decimal millimeters as your size, as your template. And so here we go. So firstly, I'll just introduce you to SketchUp. So this is it. I am moving or orbiting around like this thanks to using my center mouse key, the scroll key, and you can also scroll in and out with that like this. On the sides here are your toolbars, so on the left and on the right here. Generally for making stuff, you'll be using the left hand toolbar, and on the right hand side is kind of organizing things, changing your viewports and things like that. We'll get to all of those things. Now, if you do not have a mouse, then this sort of thing, using your mouse key and your scroll key to do this, won't be as easy. However, there are some options here. So if you go to the app settings and go to navigation, I think it is, yes. So choose a device for navigation. You can either have mouse or trackpad. So I obviously have mouse, but if you're using a trackpad, then use trackpad. Excuse me. You might change this orbit function here as well if you want to for your trackpad. So that's if you're using a trackpad. I highly recommend using a mouse if at all you can, but it's not absolutely necessary. Right, so here we are. So we're in SketchUp, and we've got to start making some stuff, right? So let's go back to our image. So this is the model that I've made previously. We're going to make that again. So I'm going to start by creating the pieces for our tabletop. So we're not going to make it all together. We're going to start by making all these pieces and then assembling them together at the end. Now, this is not how, generally speaking, you would make a model. It's a little bit inefficient, but in doing it this way, I'm going to show you some tips and techniques and some basic ways of how SketchUp works. So anyway, so 140 by 420, right? So let's go back to SketchUp and make a rectangle. So here's the rectangle tool. By the way, there are shortcut keys for all of these. The only one that I use is the move tool, which is M. The rest I'm not such a one for shortcut keys because it takes up too much memory space. So it slows things down a bit, but it's not really the end of the world. So here we go. So here's the rectangle tool. Now I'm going to start in at the origin here. Right, so I'm going to click here once. Now here's one of the fundamental things that you want to know about how to use SketchUp. So in using SketchUp, whenever you use pretty much any tool, you're going to start by clicking somewhere on the screen once, and then you can see I've just let go of my mouse, so I'm just clicking once, right, to get the tool started, and then you can either click somewhere else to end the tool, or, and this is way more powerful, and this is what we're going to be doing, we're going to type in the number. Now, down in the bottom, I think I'm pointing at the right direction, in the bottom right hand corner of your window, you will see a box called Dimensions. The Dimensions box is going to be super helpful for you. You really need to learn how to use this. If you can't use this, then you will never be able to make accurate models in SketchUp. This is how this works, right? So I've clicked once to get myself started, right? And so I can move this around. I can move it to wherever I want. The next thing to do is to kind of get the shape kind of right and the orientation kind of right. So here we go. I'm just stopping here. So you can see in the dimensions box here, I've got 1072 by 610. So the long dimension is the first one, and then the shorter one is the second one. So what I want is 420. So I'm typing in 420. So notice that I didn't click in the dimensions box. I just started typing, right? 420, and then comma to go to the next dimension, 140, and then press enter. And when I do that, it creates my piece. And so here's the piece, right? Now notice, is this the right sort of size? It looks kind of all right, compared to our person here. Now I might just delete this person because she's going to be, oh, I think I just deleted her by accident, but yep, so I just deleted her just by hitting the delete key. All right, and so here is my rectangle, right? Now the object, the thing that I'm making is not flat. It's got some dimension. So now I'm going to use this tool here, the push-pull tool, and you'll use this a lot. The push-pull tool, and again, so I'm going to drag this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click once, and then notice I've let go of my mouse so that I can now move it up or down. So I'm going to move it up way too high, right? And now I'm going to type in the dimension that I want. So the thickness of our material is 19 millimeters. So type in 19 and press enter. And there we go. So here we've made our first component, right, of our stool. Pretty straightforward. Right, now, before we do anything else, we're going to select all of this. Now, you can do that in a couple of ways. One is by drawing a marquee around it, so a rectangle around it, by clicking and dragging your mouse. Right. The other way is to triple click. So if I just click on any object, it selects it. If you click on it twice, it selects everything that it's directly touching. And if you click on it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, it selects the whole object, as in everything that it's touching. So for example, if I had this extra line sticking out here, and I clicked on this 3 times, 1, 2, 3, notice that this is also selected. Right, we don't want that, so I'll just delete it. Right, so we've got our box, right? And now we want to make that into one thing, right? So that we can maneuver around as one thing. So I'm going to right click and choose make group, right? Now later on I'm going to talk maybe about components, but right now we're just going to make groups because that's the simplest way of doing things. Right, so I've made a group here. Right, now now that you've made that, notice that when I now just single click on it, it selects the whole thing, right? As opposed to previously, it would just select exactly the object, the surface or the line that I was clicking on. So now it's clicking everything together. Now, does that mean that it's no longer editable? Nope, not at all. You can double click on it now to go inside of this object, and now you can select and edit the parts of this piece, right? So I've clicked out of it, so now I've got this. Right, now I want 2 of these, right? So I need 2 of them. If you look at my list of parts, I need 2 of these top pieces. So let's have a look at how to do that. Well, I could go copy and paste, but we want to be nice and accurate. So we're going to use the move tool, right? So click here on the move tool. Notice, by the way, that when you click on these tools, you get these options to do other things. that are related to move but aren't move. So rotate and scale are the other ones that are hiding in behind here. But we want move, right? So just click on it once, and now we can move this. Now, again, this is one of the fundamental ways in which SketchUp works. The move tool is super powerful, but what it does is when you click somewhere on the screen, and I'm going to click so that I'm clicking on a corner, so this one here. So I'm going to click once, and now I can move this thing, right? Now, moving it's not exactly what I want. I want to actually make a copy of it. So now, next thing to know is if you look down here in the bottom bar of your interface, notice that there's an instruction here. Click to place the items you are moving or enter a distance, right? So again, we can enter a distance. You can see the distance is changing. Now, Control equals copy, Alt equals toggle auto fold. I don't even know what that is. And then the arrow keys, toggle lock inference direction, right? So I'm going to talk about this part. I don't know what that is. And I'm also going to talk about this part. So I'm going to hit Control once, like that. And now I've got a copy, right? And so I'm going to drop it here. Now, by the way, I want these to be in line because I'm going to join them together later on. And so to make sure that it goes in the right direction, you can see that it kind of snaps to that green direction, or you can snap it to the red direction, or you can even snap it to the blue up and down direction. But you can actually do that using the arrow keys as well. And so the left arrow key, for example, snaps me to the blue direction. The right arrow key snaps me to the right direction. And the up arrow key or the down arrow key, well, actually just the up arrow key, snaps me to the up and down direction. So I want left, so that there. And so now I could enter an exact dimension, but I don't really need that. I just need it to place it somewhere. So I'm just going to click to end. And there we go. So we've created these two pieces, right? So now we're going to do the same thing again for these pieces here. So I'm going to move through this one pretty quickly, so you'll be able to see the process again. And then for the leg pieces, there's one extra thing that I'm going to show you. So here we go. I've forgotten what so 90 by 360 and 90 by 350. Okay, very good. So I'm going to create another rectangle. I'm going to start it here, and I'm going to make it kind of the right sort of size. And you can see in the dimension box, so that's what I want, 360 by 90, right? There we go. And now I'm going to use the push-pull tool to pull that up by 19, like that. I'm going to triple click on it to select the whole thing, and right click to make it into a group. Right, now I'm going to take that thing and I'm going to move it. And then hit the Control key, use the left arrow key to snap me to the left hand direction, and click there. Right, good. So now we could very easily do that again, but I'm going to show you a slightly different technique. So again, I'm going to use the move tool, hold down the Control key and move over to here, maybe hit the right arrow key to make sure that I'm going only in the red direction on the red axis. And there we go, right? So there's another piece, but it's slightly too long. So what I want to do is I want to push this in, right? But because it's a group, I have to actually go inside of the group. So by double clicking on it, and now I can use my push-pull tool to push this in by 10 mils. So notice that I've input the distance that I want to move, so 10, and there we go. Right, and so you can now also check to see, make sure that you've done this right by using the tape measure tool. I'll just click on one side, click on the other. That's 350, that's good, and the height is 19. All right, very good. So now, we don't want just one of these, we want 4 of them. So what I'm going to do is, again, use the selection tool, select my group, use the move tool, click on one corner, hit the Control key, and then move over, right? So there's one. Now I could make a whole lot more, but instead of that, I'm going to just start typing. and I'm going to type X, right? And notice that that turns up in the distance, the dimension box. So I'm typing in X to say times, and now how many times do I want to do that thing? Well, 3. So notice distance X 3, so times 3, press enter, and now I've got 4 of them, right? If you wanted to have way more than that, because for 4 of them, might not be worth doing this technique, but let's say you wanted 100, well, X 100. Press enter, and suddenly you've got 1,000,000 of them. Well, not 1,000,000, in fact 100, right? So in fact I only want 4, so I'm going to go X3. There we go. Right, so now I've got all of my components. Now it's just a job of joining everything together. Right, so let's start over here with my tabletop. So firstly, I'm going to move these two things together like this. And now I'm going to select them both. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and then just click on the second one that I haven't selected. So select one, hold down Shift, select the other piece, right? And I want to make sure that they stay together, so I'm going to group them. So make a group. So now notice I can have this, this is a group made up of 2 groups, so I can also go still inside of it and edit. So for example, I can go inside of the group that consists of these 2 groups, and then I can still go inside of that group again, right? So we can just click outside of it to get back. So there's my tabletop, right? Now here are my aprons. Let's attach our aprons. So firstly, I've got to change their orientation. So I've got to flip them up. So I'm going to go to rotate. And I'm going to snap to this corner here. Now notice that if I start rotating it here, it's just going to rotate around that way, which is not what I want. What I want is to go in the red direction. So I'm going to hit the right arrow key and then click on this corner and then click on the other opposite corner, and then I can rotate it up. Now to snap to the up direction, I can just hit the up arrow key, and now there we go, we've now rotated that. Let me do that one more time. Rotation tool, so it so happens that it's already in the right orientation, but if it's not, then hit the right arrow key to get the red direction. Click once, twice, flip it up again, hit the up arrow key, and there we go. Right, now I'm not sure if I did this one perfectly, so I'm just going to delete it and just I'm pretty sure this one's correct. So I'm just going to again use the move tool and make 2 of them. Alright, good, so there we go. So now let's put these legs together. So in the same way, so let's see, move this together like this, and move this together like this, and now we'll make 2 groups out of them, make group, and make group. Alright, so now I need to put this all together, right? So now the aprons will fit underneath here, but I'm not sure exactly where they're going to go yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the legs first, but only kind of. So I'm going to stand them both up. So again, using the rotation tool, I'm going to go over here to rotate, turn it on to the left arrow key, click, drag over to this side, and then hit the up arrow key and click. Oh, that wasn't very good. Undo that. Let's do that again. Right arrow key, no, left arrow key, click once, twice, move it up, get the right arrow key and press enter. Oh, that's not good. There, just click. Alright, so there we go. So I've now stood my my legs up. Now I'm going to basically put them where they're going to go. So I'm going to use the move tool, and I'm going to choose this corner here. So it's when you're using the move tool and you want to do it accurately, it's really important that you snap to something. So I'm going to snap to this corner here, and then I'm going to move this over. Oh, I've selected both of them. That's okay. and I'm going to move it so that, oh wow, inside the object, that's not good, very good. I'm going to snap it to this bottom corner here, like that. Right, so that's not where it goes, but what's good about it is that it's in the middle, which is what I want. So I'm going to now take this one and do the same thing to that. So doing this, by the way, using your trackpad is going to be more challenging, but not impossible. There we go. Right, that's kind of where it's meant to be, but not exactly. But now I know where my aprons need to be. So now, to locate my aprons, I'm going to again use the move tool. I'm going to select the object, select the object first, use the move tool. Now, I know that the inside of the apron needs to line up with the outside of this leg. So to begin with, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to click here and move until that snaps together like that. Right? Now you'll notice it's not in the middle here. That's what we're going to do next. So now I'm going to move again, but this time you'll notice that if you move along here to the middle, it'll snap to the midpoint of the group. Right? We want that midpoint. Right? So we click on that midpoint, and now we want to move it, but we want to move it only in the red direction. So I'm going to hit the red arrow key, and now I can just move it along. And now not only that, but I can now actually move it along and snap it to the center of the edge of this table. Let's see. Is that correct? Let me just check. There we go. Constrained on line from point. So there we go. That looks pretty good. Right, now, I could do the same thing to the other one, but actually that's kind of a lot of work. I'm just going to delete this one and make a new copy. Right, so this time I'm going to take my apron. By the way, you can do it the other way, exactly the same way. This is a slightly more advanced technique, but it saves a lot of time. So I'm going to go to the rotate tool, right? I'm going to go to the top. So I've selected my object, and now I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to find the center point of this group, right, which is the center of the leaf. I'm going to click once, go to this end, and then when I click here, you'll see that it rotates all the way around to the other side of the table, right? Well, I want a copy of it, so I'm just going to hit the control key. And so you can see that now there are two copies of it. Let me go to the underneath side so you can kind of see what's going on. Right, as you snap to that red direction, there are my two aprons. Right, good. So next thing. So now these legs need to be at a 45-degree angle and in 35 mils from the corner here. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're only going to do this once. We'll use that rotation tool for the next one. So let's see. I'm also, it's kind of annoying. I want to get rid of this so I can kind of see what I'm doing. But I want to delete it, so I have to put it back. I'm just going to hide it. So I just right click on it, hide it, and I'm going to hide this apron as well. Actually, I might do it from this side, so it kind of makes more sense. So I'm going to take this one and hide it as well. And now I'm going to move this. So I want to move it so that it's 35 mils in from the corner here. So this corner needs to be in 35 mils. So I'm going to use the move tool. I'm going to move it into there so that it's lined up, right? And then I'm going to move it one more time, and this time, again, I'm going to hit the right arrow key. This time, the distance that I want, you can see at the moment it says 33. I want 35, so just type in 35, press enter. All right. So now it's in the right place, but it needs to kind of come out by 10 degrees. So again, let's use the rotation tool. Snap to here, use the left arrow key, right? And we're going to start with the down direction there, and then we're just going to slide it around. And as you can see, the angle is changing in my angle box or in my dimension box, and so I can just take it to somewhere that's the wrong dimension, and then just type in 10 and press enter. And there we go. So now it's at the right angle. There we go. So now I want two of them. I want to bring back all the other components and then I'm going to flip it over. So to get all that stuff back, right? So there's no, if you right click, there's no unhide button, which is a little bit annoying. But over here in the side panel, we can go and look at, now if I can remember, I think it's the display tool. Yes, there we go. So here's the unhide display thing. Oh, by the way, so notice that these panels come up, right? These panels are super useful. You can open all of them, and all of these tools will become available to you, right? But really, there's only one that we want at the moment, so let's just click on that one, which is the display one, which is the two glasses, display, and I'm going to unhide everything. Cool, so now all of my elements are back, and now what I want to do is I want to move this over to here. Again, I'm going to use the rotate tool. See, rotate, and then go from the center of this object, where is it, midpoint in group. So click there, go into the red direction, flip it around, hit the control key, and then go back to the other red direction. And there we go. That is it. Our stool is done. Let's just move it up so that it's not kind of under the ground, if you like. So I'm going to select it all. Maybe let's let's get rid of all this. Maybe let's make it all into one group. Right, so make a group, and now what I want to do is I want to move it up so that this corner here is at the origin. So I'm going to click here, then zoom out, and then move that to the origin. And there we go. Here is our object done. Right, we're going to save it. For now, there's lots of different ways that you can save these things. I'm just going to save it to my drive, and I'll call it test or something like that. Well, actually, I'll leave that for later. So that is basically it. Now, I went through a lot of stuff, and I talked for a long time. So, if you missed things, go back, watch the video again. There's lots. If you don't like my way of explaining this, you can go and look at other tutorials on YouTube or wherever you find your tutorials. There's loads of them out there. This is the basic functionality of SketchUp, the web-based SketchUp. So if you find tutorials for SketchUp free, they will totally work for this as well, for the stuff that we're using. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Have a go at it, and then post your results to the assignment. So there you go. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time. See you, bye.